Hi, welcome to MediaByte. Amsterdam was a movie I haven't paid attention to or hadn't heard of until I started to research for it, and the cast and the story is incredibly compelling, and it's a movie I surprisingly wasn't aware of. And I want to make sure more people are. Well, if you want to, you can follow us on Twitter at MediaByteCo and Instagram is at MediaByteCompany. With that, let's get started. Releasing October 7th, 2022 by 20th Century Studios, the movie follows a group of people who witness a murder, become suspects, and have to try to figure out who actually killed the person, and that is about all we know about the plot. The cast, however, is so huge I'm going to list out as many names that you will recognize as I possibly can. Christian Bale, Margaret Robbie, Taylor Swift, John David Washington, Anna Taylor-Joy, Michael B. Jordan, Robert De Niro, Rami Malek, Mike Myers, and Timothy Olyphant. And many more people have been added to this list. Also, another huge thing about this movie is entirely set in the 1930s. This movie may possibly be one of the biggest movies of this year, especially with how subtle the marketing has been so far for this movie. That's not something completely normal, and I'm very excited for this movie to have some amazing shots and amazing scenes and just the story in general. My guess is the person who was murdered will be found to be somebody important from that time period, or the person who actually did the murdering will be from the government or some gang like Al Capone's or something like that. Whatever this movie completely turns out to be, I'm very interested but worried on the same front that because the cast has so many recognizable names that a lot of the time when some of them are on the screen it'll be more, hey look, here is that recognizable face you know and have seen 1,000 times, instead of actually caring and letting them act. Which could very easily happen without ever thinking about it twice, because that is just somehow movies are sometimes. Well, personally, I've never actually seen a movie by this director or screenwriter, the same person. I have heard good things about both Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, which are both movies by the director David O. Russell. He also has written and directed everything he's done since as early as I could see in his IMDb page. I would check out those two movies if you want to catch a feel of what exactly the type of movie this will be. I am super interested, but also again worried, because if both those movies had a 7.7 and a 7.2 on IMDb, at some point the quality has to dip slightly, and I'm worried that he may have bitten a chunk too big with the cast and the actresses, especially because with a cast as big as this, there's going to be some chemistry issues. But maybe there won't be. That is just my personal understanding of how I've dealt with actors and people. Sometimes there's just chemistry problems. Also, like I said earlier, one thing that does worries me is the cast, the actors, because they are so famous, and not because they were good. Also, like I said earlier, one thing that does worry me is they cast the actors because they were famous and not because they were good. Which you'd be surprised happens a lot more than you would expect, and it sucks really badly, because sometimes that is just enough to make an entire movie completely screwed up. Well, that's it. If you want to keep up to date with all things Amsterdam, you can follow us on Twitter at MediaByteCo and Instagram is at MediaByteCompany. Listen to all of the podcasts on the MediaByte Podcast Network and check out our Patreon. We post commentaries there, sometimes informative, sometimes funny, but always a thing to listen to, if anything. We also post a free episode of our podcast onto the Patreon, and we are expecting to make some behind-the-scenes footage of us and just how we work on MediaByte and turning it into what it is and what it will eventually be in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all in the next one. Peace.